Peace. We are back with another episode of Politics and Black Families. I am here with Imam Yusuf Ramadan, community leader, business owner, Mr. Drop the Jewelry. Thank you for joining us, brother.
Well, thank you for having me. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, wa alaikum salam. Thank you. So I'm going to get right into it because we have a great conversation. I said, I got to bring you on, let my viewers get a load of you. How did you find Islam, or did Islam find you?
Well, they say Allah makes Muslims, but
Yeah.
I would say back in the early 70s, my first influence, I would say, was like many people that come into Al-Islam, was through the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Yeah.
During the summers, we would read books that really weren't being assigned to us in school. So
Yeah.
we read the regular books, Man, Child in the Promised Land, Pimp, and Iceberg Slim, and all that stuff. And we got a hold of, autobiography of Malcolm X.
Yeah.
It changed my life, and I would say, quite a few, probably millions of other people.
Yeah, I can dig it. I read the book myself. I told my wife about it, and the audience may not know, but he has a daughter who is really a pain. I mean, she's, but no, she is an advocate for Islam, and she always said like some of the most beautiful scriptures, and it just be like random.
Which one?
Which your daughter?
Yeah.
How many you got?
He had 6.
No, I'm talking about your daughter.
Oh, my daughter.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Malcolm's daughter.
I'm about to say, hold on, I didn't know about this now. Cut. I'm just like, so let's get into it. How important is Muslim representation in like the political space?
Well, the history of it is that going back to the Nation of Islam and other African American Islamic groups, we didn't really participate in electoral politics so much. Especially the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he didn't believe in it. He didn't believe in the efficacy of it. My particular leader, Imam W.D. Muhammad Rahimahullah alayh, he said that the mistake that he believed that we as African Americans made was that we went into politics first instead of business. That we should have been establishing business first, and then politics.
Yeah.
And I saw, as I was beginning to establish my security company, I saw that everybody was reaching out to me. The Republicans, the Democrats, the NACP, Urban League. I wasn't reaching out to them.
Yeah.
They were calling my office and sending me, invitations to fundraisers and things of that nature.
Yeah.
I wasn't even concerned with what they were doing. But business is
getting money, y'all.
Like they say, the business of America is business. So if you're not and that's really what runs politics.
Yeah.
They call them donors, but I call them investors.
Yeah.
That's the reason why Kamala Harris raised, they say now $700 million. So if she raised $700 million, those are investments.
Yeah.
Nobody is giving her all that money so that she can sit in a seat one day and tell them what to do.
What do they want from these politicians? Like when
they want access. They want access to their lobbyists and get them to write laws. I mean, with a lot of these, Congress people, they have lobbyists that actually come in and write the law for them and give it to them and tell them this is what you're going. This, especially if you're in the House of Representatives, you're basically always in fundraising mode because you only in office for 2 years.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get in office, you're raising funds for the next election.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you don't have any money, you're out.
Yeah.
So I mean, this was like maybe 10 years ago. A friend of mine that was running for Congress. He said back then he needed $2 million just to be a congressperson.
Yeah.
Much more for a senator, U.S. senator, and of course the president. When Obama ran, it was like $1 billion. Now it's up to like
Obama raised $1 billion.
Well, yeah. I mean, all in total,
okay.
That's what it cost him in order to put on his campaign. Now it's probably $2 billion. I mean, if you see that,
is the presidency worth $2 billion?
Oh yes.
You think so?
Oh yes. It's worth $2 billion to have an advocate for yourself in that office.
Yeah.
That can push for the things that you want, the laws that you want. You have advocates in the House of Representatives, whether it's the Speaker of the House or of the like Nancy Pelosi or somebody like that.
Yeah.
People that have power, but really the political class is the servant of the material class.
Say that again.
So it doesn't matter really, if who you are. You can be a person with that, certain particular ideals or whatever, but it's the system.
Yeah.
Above everything, they give you a clue when they say the solar system.
Yeah.
That's letting you know that above everything is system.
Yeah.
So you might have one individual that might, have a good heart or a good mind and they want to do certain things, but they're up against the system.
Yeah. So how important is it for like young folks or people who have a mission to raise funds to give to politicians so they can have a voice? Should we be like raising money, starting PACs to get to money to them, or what would you recommend?
So there's a short-term strategy as well as a long-term strategy. The short-term strategy that I would see is that right now this is the system that's in place. So if you're going to play the game, you have to play, and it is a game. You got to play the game to win. Yeah. So it really doesn't take a whole lot of money. It'll give you a certain amount of access. You'd be surprised what you can do on a local level.
Yeah.
On a local level, of course, it takes much less money for these local positions than it does on a national level with presidents or Congress people and people of that nature. So if you want, but really, what we need to be working for is to remove money out of politics.
Yeah.
Which is that's
quite wishful thinking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not wishful thinking, but I mean it's quite an undertaking. Yeah. As long as you have a capitalist economic system, that's going to dictate everything. Yeah. So if you have a capitalist system, a system that's based on economics of capitalism, therefore you're going to, I just want to say, that I'm not going to be your typical guest who's running for office. Yeah. The masjid that I'm the imam at now was originally purchased by Malcolm.
Say that again. Look at that camera and tell him that.
Well, the Masjid Nuruddin was originally purchased by Hajj Malik Al-Shabazz, better known as Malcolm X, in Queens, in Corona, and on 105th Street. He lived on 94th Street. That's the little house that he had that was firebombed, famously or infamously firebombed. So, I'm not, when politicians come by, and AOC, we actually in her district, you know what I mean? When they come by, I let them know, like, you're not going to get the regular political spiel from me because I'm not come from that cloth.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't play that game, I'm going to give it to you raw, and you either...
Well, shouldn't it be that way, right? We should be able to, like, speak our truth or speak truth to power, or...
Well, you should be able to do that, but that depends if you're depending on... See, I don't depend on them for my livelihood. Yeah. So if you're depending on them for your livelihood, you're going to choose your words carefully, because if they don't like what you got to say, they're going to cut you off. Yeah. They can't cut me off because I don't get paid for them.
So the motto should be do for self, right?
Do for self.
Right, the motto should be do for self.
But before you can do for self, you got to think for yourself. Mm. So a lot of people, they get their marching orders, and that. I mean, look, you even if you have good instincts or you have a good heart or you incline towards doing the right thing, like a Barack Obama, he said he wanted to close Guantanamo prison.
Yeah.
He didn't close it, did
he? Yeah.
He's the president, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He didn't do it he didn't do it because it didn't not happen because he didn't want to do it.
Well, the ones in power said it ain't happening.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to get people to see, that the president of the United States, man or male or female, they're not the most powerful person in the world.
Yeah.
That's a myth.
Indeed.
Okay. They're gonna do what they told, just like you saw with Biden.
Yeah.
They want to lionize Biden for being unselfish, and he's the most unselfish president since, George Washington. But the reality is he was forced out.
Yeah.
Now, why was he forced out? He's the president. He could say, I don't care what y'all say.
What you think about that move? That was kind of, when that happened, what were you thinking as you was watching that go down? I had a couple thoughts coming to mind. I thought, I leave my opinion to myself, but what's your opinion?
Well, what I saw was that, what everyone else saw, that he was in mental decline, he was in cognitive decline, all right? And not only that, they didn't care about that. They looked at the data, the polling data, that said he didn't look like he could beat Trump. So he got to go. It's that mental stuff is for us.
Yeah.
That's not for the people on top.
Right.
So they
protecting the money of the people.
Well, they're protecting the access to power. With the power comes the access to money. Mm. But what they're saying is the money people, it wasn't Obama and Pelosi that pushed him out. It was the money people that went to Obama and went to Pelosi and said, you got to tell him to get out. Now, he's the president. He could have said, I'm not getting out. They said, good. where you going to get the money from? Because we're not going to give you a quarter. You can run if you want to,
right.
but we'll primary you. We'll put somebody else up against you that we will finance.
Yeah. Do you think he would have beat Trump?
No, absolutely
You
not.
think Kamala could beat Trump?
I think she can beat him.
Do she got a good chance?
I think she
They
will.
said
I
the
think
polls
she
are
will
really
beat him.
close.
I think she will beat him.
Really?
I mean, the major powers that be are really backing her, from the media, which is like the fourth estate, the media, and all of the money people are behind her. I just looked at the thing today. They said she was outpacing him in terms of fundraising, exponentially.
Yeah.
So I mean, he has the people, he has his grassroots people that support him. Okay, and he also has the elite billionaire class. It's always between the Democrats and the Republicans. All right. So it's either Tweedledee or Tweedledum.
Yeah.
But really, it's that whole two-party electoral system is really nothing but a trick bag.
Yeah.
Okay, either this group of elites is going to run things, or this group is going to run it. One or the other. And then they tell you, well, don't vote for a third-party candidate, because if you vote for, let's say, RFK or Cornel West, that's a vote for Trump.
Yeah, but RFK was looking good for a while, right? He was picking up a lot of momentum. People were like rallying around him. He had a strong platform with the healthcare thing or the pharmaceutical thing,
and then he
censorship.
came. He wound up being, a little, kooky. He came out, talking about he killed a bear and drove the bear to Central Park, and then he's all in, as supporting the Zionist state of Israel.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not in keeping with his quote unquote allegedly progressive views.
Yeah.
So I had to cut him off from there.
Yeah.
And Dr. West, he came to the masjid in Atlanta masjid, and he went to actually attended Harvard with our Imam Emeritus, Imam Eman Yusuf. So they're friends. So he came to the masjid, and a lot of the things that he's saying that I can agree with, but to me he's a little too I would say liberal on a lot of issues.
Yeah, I can understand that.
That I can't really support him on.
I can understand. Let's move this conversation ahead. You mentioned something interesting, Israel, Palestine. What's your views on that? How do you feel about that? If you was to summarize it up, like, what do you feel?
Well, I mean, Israel is an outlaw nation. It's a settler nation, and that Zionist experiment is dying right before our very eyes. They wouldn't even be able to be there if it wasn't for the backing, the political, the diplomatic, and the financial and the military backing of America.
Yeah.
So really, a lot of those Zionists are firmly entrenched in the American government.
Yeah.
So Biden really doesn't have a choice. Neither does Kamala Harris. Neither does Trump. What people would be talking about politics. What people make their mistake with politics is that they focus on domestic politics without focusing on foreign politics,
right.
on what foreign policy is.
Right.
The foreign policy impacts necessarily on the domestic policy, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So what they told Martin Luther King when he wrote his famous, letter, Why I Oppose the Vietnam War, they told him, stay out, that's not your business. That's not Negro, that's white folks' business.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't agree necessarily with Muhammad Ali because of his religion, but whatever his religion is, you have to admire his courage, because he was the most famous person in the world most famous person in the world, period.
Yeah.
But the most famous person in the world to speak out against the Vietnam War, which gave Martin Luther King and other people the courage to follow him and say, this has to stop.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So they try to tell us that our goal should be civil rights. I never supported civil rights. It's about human rights. I didn't want to sit at a lunch counter and sit and eat a hamburger next to a white person.
This is Pop's going in. Go ahead, keep going, Pops.
That wasn't what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. And now the problem with the politics that we have today is that Kamala Harris and those that are in that same civil rights mindset, they think that they can shut down the conversation with the same civil rights rhetoric. They think they can say Trump is a racist.
Yeah.
And what? See, before there used to be a mic drop. He's racist. All right. So he came to the National Association of Black Journalists and said, she said things that they found to be racist.
I thought that was bold.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, I said he had a conversation with
brilliant.
4 black journalists.
But see, the problem is
she
that
didn't show up.
we are emotional people.
That was bold.
When they say things like that, we we clutch our pearls and we say he should be ashamed of himself. Well, guess what? He's not.
Yeah.
Now what you gonna do? Now what you gonna do? All right. That card is over with.
Yeah.
Now I know that hurts a lot of people's feelings.
Yeah.
Because they feel that they should be able to do a mic drop with that. He's a racist.
Yeah.
Well, 70 million people voted for him twice.
Yeah.
And they look like they're going to maybe more vote for him this time again.
Yeah.
Okay? So they don't care about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that you can't play that card no more because it doesn't have the power that it had at one time.
Indeed.
All right?
Indeed.
So that's the reason why, she's trying to take a page out of Obama's book, when Obama gave his famous speech in Philadelphia after he threw his pastor under the bus, for making certain statements that they said were racist.
Yeah.
So what she's doing, she's trying to shy away from, but she's trying to thread the needle. At one point, she's saying, vote for me because I'm a black woman.
Yeah.
And at the other point, she's saying, I don't even want to get into race.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So she has a real tightrope to walk.
Yeah.
In order to be successful. But like I say, the media is backing her.
Yeah.
And so they're against Trump. They're backing her. And so I think she has a very good chance to win.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thanks for sharing that. I want to bring up a point that you have a great platform. You have a radio show that airs Thursday at 9?
Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah.
Let the people know a little bit about your show.
Well, it's called New Day for Islam in America. I was on terrestrial radio, WPAT, coming out of Paterson, New Jersey, but the studio was in Manhattan. I was on there for 10 years, at least 10 years. New Day for Islam in America, but now I'm on American Muslim 360.
Yeah.
So it's New Day for Islam in America, AM 360 edition.
Yeah, perfect. So y'all make sure y'all check that out. And we're going to move this conversation ahead, and we're going to wrap it up, and you're going to look in that camera and let them know how you plan on leaving the world better than you found it. But first, I have to ask, before we go and get away from it, what's your favorite movie from your era, let's say 50s all the way up to the 90s? What's your favorite movie?
Well, I wasn't watching too many movies in the 50s.
What was you doing then?
Well, I mean, I was a young kid at the time. You know what I'm saying? I was watching a lot of television.
Yeah.
Favorite movie? That's a hard one. I have quite a few favorite movies. Of course, The Godfather, was a very impactful movie on a lot of people. But there's that question kind of threw me because I have quite a few. It's like when people ask you, like I heard you ask the brother, which one would they choose, Stevie or Marvin? I can't make that choice. I can't make that choice. If I was on a desert island, I'd have to have both. I'd have to both of them.
Well, let's stick with your pick, Godfather. Let me ask you, who's a better talk show host, Steve Harvey or Roland Martin?
That's funny.
Which one would you rather have on your show if you was a host?
Which one would I rather have? I don't think I'd invite either one of them on.
I got you. All right, let me ask you this question.
What is Steve going to tell me how to be a comedian?
Yeah, people say Steve a big time host now.
Yeah, but I don't understand them inviting him to earn your leisure. I mean, myself and my son and daughter, we support it because one of the brothers, Rashad, his father's a personal friend of mine, and they're Muslims. They grew up in our community, so I support him for that. But I really couldn't understand them inviting Steve Harvey. I mean, what advice is he going to give you to get rich? Be a funny comedian?
Yeah.
I mean, that makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
He didn't make his money through, intelligent investment.
Yeah.
He made his money because they picked him to be that Negro.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? He's not really that funny.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, it's in the eye of the beholder. But I mean, no, I wouldn't. And Roland Martin, let's not even get into that.
I got you. So look at that camera. Let the people know how you plan on leaving the world better than you found it.
Well, I pray, Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, that, I can leave a legacy of being obedient to Him and sharing that life with my family, with my wife, with my children, with my grandson, and my community. So, through service to the community, and service to the world.
And there you have it. We out. Another episode, Politics and Black Families. Peace. Good job. Yeah, good job. That's gonna be.